Have you ever made cold porcelain clay just to have it crack or get too soft to sculpt? Yeah, me too. After many years of having terrible results with various recipes, I ended up spending 4 years without making this clay because I couldn't figure out how to make it work. Until one day I found the recipe that worked and I never had an issue again. Today I'm going to show you step by step in real time how to make cold porcelain clay from scratch. Come join me and let's do it. I'm gonna make here a batch of the cold porcelain clay, and I'm going to use my cornstarch, and I'm going to use PVA glue. This is the one that I usually get. It's like a high quality framing PVA glue. I'll use white vinegar, some water, and baby oil or mineral oil is the same thing. The difference, I guess, is that baby oil is going to have some scent to it most of the times instead of being without any fragrance, which it does not change anything, the consistency. I got my sieve. I've got a tablespoon measure, a 1 cup measure, and a 1/3 of a cup measure. And then I have this little scraper here, but this is basically when I'm done with making the clay, I will use it to scrape up any bit of it in here so I can take advantage of any kind of leftover that's in there. So, okay, so now here we go. So the first thing I like to do is to put my sieve right here on top of the pan. The stove is not on yet. So I'm going to mix everything in it before I do it. So here we go. Some cornstarch first. So I'm going to use 2 cups of cornstarch. 2 cups of cornstarch right to the top. Sieve it. Not necessarily you have to do that. I just like to do that as I've had in the past a little bit of lumps going on my clay, so I felt that doing this kind of helps to avoid that. But I'm sure there are people that are gonna tell me that they've never done it and they've been successful at it. So do what you decide is best. So here we go. 2nd cup cornstarch. Makes a good mess. All right. That's done. Now with the same measure, actually I forgot to mention, I'm also gonna use wooden spatula. That is great for mixing it, obviously. Okay. Two cups of wood glue. This is the first one. To the second. This gallon is very heavy. Probably helps to kind of put it down, and there we go. You can't quite see it. The stove is on top of it, but I'm just filling it up to the brim, to the top. Scraping all the glue that I can out of here. Side that's gonna have to be washed, so I'm mixing it up a little bit until I get the cornstarch and the wood glue somewhat blended well. Let me show you what it's looking like right now. I'm still seeing some of the powder going on, and it's gonna feel thick right now because we haven't added the water. So just a little bit, you don't have to do it all the way. Let's add the other ingredients now. So I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of the mineral oil, and I have seen many variations of this recipe, especially in replacement of the vinegar and the amount that is used for each of the things. Really, people have used all kinds of very changes to this recipe. So this is the one that I like. So this is white vinegar, 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. You can also use, you can squeeze a tablespoon of lime. And then lastly but not least, I saved my old bottles of water out here for the studio, so I don't have to go to the sink all the time. The sink is not super close to me, so I like to have some bottles that I've drank water in the past to kind of recycle them here and have them already filled up with sink water so I can use for my projects. Okay, so I like to fill it up almost all the way to the top. I leave just a tiny bit less. What that does is that makes the clay a little bit more solid when it's done, instead of malleable, like it's instead of too soft, which I like. So now I'm mixing it up a little bit. I still don't have the stove on, and now because there's water around it, it can kind of splash, so I have to go a little slow until everything is blended in better. Let me try to show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so you can see here without turning on the stove yet. So just about all blended together. So I'm going to turn it on around medium high. You know, I wouldn't put it all the way. You don't want to start cooking too fast on the outside, because what's going to happen is that whatever is touching the walls of the pan is going to begin to harden first. So you're going to have to be somewhat quick at scraping it off the edges, the sides, and bringing it to the center, mixing up with the center, so you know, so the clay is cooking kind of evenly. You're not going to be able to get it super even, but that's okay, because when you're kneading, it actually does that. It blends everything together. So I'm going to show you guys what the consistency is when we get there. So here we are. There is another method of cooking, which is in the microwave with a porcelain or a glass bowl, of course a microwave-proof one. And because you can't continuously mix it the way we're doing it in here, you would have to do something in increments of a minute. And the amount of minutes that it takes, it really depends on your microwave. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4. And even in the end, you might have to do in increments of 30 seconds. So the trick is to really understand what is the consistency of the clay when you're supposed to stop. So I used to do in the microwave all the time in the past, but I learned to really appreciate doing it on the stove. I think that there are a lot of things that can influence the result of how the clay turns out. So to be able to just have a visual throughout the whole process of what's happening to it, I think it just delivers a much more like consistently good clay that is right at the point that you want it to be. So here we go. I can feel this already getting a teeny bit thick, and it kind of like, you can kind of tell when you scrape if it's still kind of in the early process. I'm not speeding this up, I'm letting you see. So if you wanna, like at your house, be doing this right with me, have all your ingredients ready, and you can do while I'm doing, and hopefully we'll be somewhat coordinated here, in sync with our timeline. But I can see that I'm kind of scraping, and I'm seeing like, it looks like there's a peeling going on at the edge in there at the bottom, and that's totally normal. That's just the clay getting a little bit harder on the bottom of the pan. That's why mixing all the time is good. So here we go. A good time to put some nice music on, something that either excites you or suits you, you know, or maybe a podcast you can listen to, or maybe just one of my videos, just listen to it. Oh, so you can see it's changing a little bit again. It's getting thicker and thicker. You can see the lump forming on my pan right there. That is normal. I don't even have to bother taking it off. I'm just going to continue to be really good at scraping on the sides, just like when you're cooking. If you know how to cook food, you probably have done similar things with some of your sauces and stews and all that, especially with cornstarch, because cornstarch is a thickener. So this is very normal behavior for cornstarch. So look at that. And guys, you can see it doesn't take that long. It really does not. So I just really love this. Okay, here we go. Now I'll tell you something though. This is arm work, especially the kneading part. It is a lot of work. So you better do some strength training if you want to be doing this on a regular basis, because after a while you get sore. Another thing too is that there is this period of time that when the clay is really hot, you can't quite knead it yet because it's too hot. I hope you're seeing what's going on in here. Like, this is really starting to kind of come off like a skin. It looks like a skin that's coming off the bottom. So I'm gonna keep grabbing that skin with my spatula and bringing it to the center and really trying to make sure that it just doesn't sit there. So I'm trying to get all the edges, including the very corner of the pan, and paying attention. So what I'm hoping to reach here is a stage where the whole clay is gonna kind of clump up together and there's barely any liquidy glued clay left in there. It's kind of good to leave a little bit of liquid, because if you kind of overcook this, your clay might turn out too dry at the end. At least that's my experience. I would love to know the ones, especially the ones that are used to doing this, what are their experiences, and maybe we can all learn from each other. So this is what I've learned in Brazil, and I brought it over here to the US, and I continue to do it. And I know this is not a super popular clay in the US. I know it is in a lot of other countries. You see this? This is pretty much it, guys. This is where I kind of want to stop now. So I still have a little bit of wetness in there, not too much. It happens quickly, so I can see part of the clay is kind of dry like that, and part of the clay is kind of wet. This is pretty much my point. Let's stop right here. There we go. That's what I like. So most of it is looking like it's done, and there's a teeny bit of wet clay in there. Turn off my stove. It's really hot. I don't have a real stove in the studio, so I have to use this. Okay, so I used to cover this up with some plastic film to let it sit for like 20 minutes or something like that. I don't really see the need to do that anymore. I just kind of wait a little bit. I also have very tolerant hands to the heat. I go to hot springs with really hot waters all the time, and also from doing this, I've kind of gotten used to touching clay that's really hot. Of course, not this hot. This is gonna burn me. So be really careful. If you feel like it's gonna burn you, you need to wait your 20 minutes. Wait 20 minutes. And you want to put a little plastic on it. Don't let it sit overnight like this. You're gonna have to knead it when it's still warm to get the best consistency, where the entire clay is pretty much even. So right now it's a little uneven. Like there's parts that's a little wet, like I said, and parts that are not. See, I can do this. So what I do is I kind of, when I see that it's just warm enough that, or cool enough that I can actually touch it, I'm gonna grab a small piece, and look how it sticks a little bit to your hand, but as you knead it, it starts peeling off. So make sure your hands are washed, they're clean, because you will transfer to the clay whatever. If you have dirt or paint on it or anything else, is going to transfer to your clay, and then your clay is gonna have that. But look how nice this consistency is. I just love this, guys. It's so amazing. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna grab another little bit there. This is still really hot, so I'm being stubborn, don't want to wait. Too much going on in my life right now. So I'm kind of like, let me just start doing this. So of course what's on the outside is a little cooler than what's in the middle, so I don't want to just stick my hand in there right in the middle and get a big piece. So I'm just getting a little bit of the outside, and right now it's winter too, so everything cools off a little faster. I'm in a warehouse, there is no air conditioning or heaters in here, so you know, the air is a little cool, so it makes it easier for the clay to cool off faster. So there you go, another piece right there. And you can see it going from this lumpy looking thing to this really soft, breathable, consistent, and just perfect clay. And let me try it. I'm gonna pull it so you can see. So it has a little bit of a pull, elasticity to it, you know, but it's very shapeable as well. You can shape with it. I'll do another video showing guys more like how to actually manipulate this clay. There's a lot of things that I've learned throughout the years on how to make this clay better and better to work with what I want. And I have some techniques that became my preference, but I'm sure other people use other ways and other techniques, and that's fine too. So whatever works for you. And the only way you're gonna really know that is by experimenting. Experimenting is the best way to know how to work with any art material, really. Sometimes you're just gonna have to, you know, buy the ingredients, or buy that weird clay that you found out that exists. You know, my friend just bought a foam clay and he was testing it out, and for what he was trying to do, it didn't really work out, and that's why he actually asked me to make a batch of this clay, and I decided to do this, take advantage that I'm doing this for him right now to do this video. Whoa, this is really hot here, guys. Wow, careful. So I'm kind of using the clay that cooled off, stretching it and trying to stretch over this one so it's a little easier to knead. So, you know, this part can take a little time, so thanks for sticking with me on this one and seeing. I really wanted to do a video that you can see this in actual real timeline without anything being sped up. I already have a video for the ones that don't want to wait. I have another video that shows you really fast, you know, I think it's like a minute or something, how to do the whole thing. So here we go. I'm getting more adventurous. Still pretty hot. My hands are kind of pink, but it's workable. So if you want me to make any other specific kind of video, I was thinking about maybe making a video to show how I mix it with paints. What are the things that you need to know about that, and also a video that shows if you use different types of glue, what could and couldn't happen, at least from the ones that I have here available where I'm at, and also another video on how to actually manipulate the clay, how to blend it, how to glue it together, how to actually sculpt things with it, how to create the armature. So if you are interested in any of those, please tell me in the comments, because I would love to get inspired by what you want, and really cater to, you know, what your need is so we can all learn from each other more and more about this. So here we go. I'm getting close to the end. This is clean, it's just a little cornstarch in it. I'm gonna put it on the table right there, put it in there, and I'll try to scrape this. I need two hands for this one to this, and it's okay to knead it separately and then put it together. It's okay. So this is when I'm getting to the time. It's sticking to my hand, but that's okay. Keep rolling and it unsticks. So this is getting close to the time now that I'm gonna use the scraper. This is a sculpting tool that is used a lot for wet clay sculptures like ceramics and all that. And it's such a fabulous tool. It's such a silly, simple little piece of metal, but it has been used for so many things with me. Okay guys, so here we go. And I just love it. I also want to note that some people use hand cream as part of the recipe. I have done that in the past, and then I didn't really see the need for it anymore. Didn't see that it made a difference for me, but I know that there are some recipes out there that still ask for it. So, you know, if you do my clay and it seems like it's for some reason is not working for you, you can always try and look for these variations. So here we go. So because the clay is really, really, really hot, as it cools off, it's going to sweat. So you're going to see some moisture on the outside of the clay, some droplets. So as soon as I'm done kneading, collecting the whole thing and kneading it, I am going to wrap it up in plastic film completely. So it's going to sweat in there. So the next day, or maybe a few hours later when the clay cools off, it's kind of a nice thing to switch the plastic film into another clean version one, because especially if you're not going to use all the clay at once, because it could create mold. Again, I have not had that problem. I only had issues with mold once ever, and that was actually kind of an interesting an interesting fact that happened. I didn't know. I made the clay, it was a brand new batch, and all of a sudden, like just within a couple of days, I noticed that it was kind of looking a little gray in some aspect, in some parts, and I was wondering what happened to my clay. Why is it looking like that? And I found out that the reason that happened is because I had my gallon of glue for such a long time. It was around the times in my life that I was procrastinating a lot. I was creating really ambitious projects, and I was self-sabotaging, something I had to learn about myself. That's probably another story for another time. But, you know, so when I began to actually use it, I was like, oh yeah, I have that gallon of clay that the glue that I bought years ago, and I'm gonna use it. And I guess the glue was expired, so that is something that can happen. So if you see a little piece of, I don't know, dust, dirt, or whatever, or anything like that while you're kneading the clay in any part of it, just grab it and pull it out. You don't want to deal with that being blended with all this nice, beautiful clay that you have there. So I have to watch out. So this is where the cream maybe would have been good. I could have maybe put a little bit of the cream. I use, let me show you. I use something as simple as like a Nivea. So you can kind of splosh a little bit in there. Is a splosh a word? I don't know. I can't do it. Everything that's one-handed with this stuff becomes really hard. Okay, there you go. You can do that, and then you can do this. So you can, it does not hurt the clay. Oh, now I got a little dirt in it doing that. Dang it. See, getting it out like that. I guess my table wasn't as clean. But it kind of makes it easier to knead, to be honest with you. To just a tiny amount goes a long way. And here we go. This is my clay. Now it's just feeling a little bit warm. It's not super hot. As it cools off, it's gonna be a little bit harder. But this consistency is exactly what I want. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make it some kind of like a rectangle shape, and try to not have any like lumps, because when you wrap it up with plastic, you don't want any air bubbles on it. No air bubbles, good stuff, long-lasting clay. So look at that. I mean, I guess we could use that kind of like a press and seal thingy, you know, the airtight stuff. I've never tried that, but that sounds like a good option. What is this? Is this, there's something here. I think when I use the cream in the table, so it grabs some of the dirt that was in there. I haven't been in the studio in a while, guys. I've been doing a lot of other work, so I'm excited that I'm here today, right now, doing this video. Look at that. Okay, this is beautiful. All right, so last step, I'm gonna show you. So what I'm gonna do now is put that here. I'm gonna grab my little plastic wrap thingy. Okay, there you go. And grab a nice mount, because you want to wrap around this thing really well. So here we go. Oops, make sure it's stretched. And I'm going once this way. And then, so this is why you don't want any air bubbles. You don't want to see any. So the nice rectangle shape is perfect for it. So going this way, wrap it this way, and then boom. That's it. That's all you need to do. So every time you want to use some, you open it up, you grab it, seal it again. The better you keep it sealed, the longer it will last. If you're not gonna use the clay for a while, put it in the refrigerator in a dark bag over this plastic film, and makes it last even longer. It can last for weeks that way, sometimes even months that way. And if you do notice that your clay is drying a little bit, just pull out the whole thing and dab your fingers in water. Keep dabbing your fingers in water and kneading the clay to kind of bring it back to life. It's just the water that's evaporating from it. So that's a really great way of doing that to make sure that your clay is lasting. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will be very excited to be showing you more videos about how to use cold porcelain clay.